In my 43 years on this planet, I've learned something. When something about our looks or our bodies starts to change due to age or other life circumstances, there's two main ways that we can respond to it. One is to accept what's happening and learn to live with our new reality. If you can do that, I totally respect your Zen. That's not really me. And two is to figure out what we can do to take control back of our bodies and our looks for as long as we can. That is totally me, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So, as promised on my Instagram, I'm going to talk in detail about everything that I did to dramatically reduce my hair fall and improve my hair density and start growing in much thicker, much denser, and much healthier hair than I ever used to before. So, a couple of years ago, not long after I turned 40, I started to feel like my hair was thinning out. Now, I've never had the genetics for like really thick, voluminous, full shampoo commercial hair, and that is something that I had learned to live with because I had enough. But after I turned 40, I saw that every time I took a shower, I would end up with a clump of hair like this big in the drain. It's what I was calling a hair mouse. I started to get really self-conscious. It became a huge insecurity of mine. Like I didn't want to see the back of my head because there were some spots back there that looked kind of thinned out. I didn't want to look at my hair part because it was starting to get wider. There were certain areas on my head where I almost felt like I had to do a comb over, trying to cover up the thin patches. So about a year and a half ago, I started to get really serious about figuring out what I could do to at least slow the hair fall down, if not start to reverse the process of hair loss that I was starting to experience. I knew I needed data. So what I started doing over a year ago was recording how much hair I lost in the shower every night. I would write it down in my planner. So I came up with a system for the hair mice. There's none, which obviously means there's no hair in the drain at all. There's tiny, which means that there's a few hairs in the drain, but not enough to form a clump. And then of course there's small, medium, and large. And again, every night after I took a shower, I would write down the size of the hair mouse when I went to take it out of the drain. So in the beginning, it was pretty much always either a medium or a large hair mouse. It was really hard to look at that and to kind of flip back and realize how much hair I was losing every day. The reason that I feel ready to talk about this now, because over the past several months, the pattern has stabilized a lot. I almost never get anything bigger than tiny when I take a shower, except for just like a couple of days each month at a certain point in my cycle. So to me, that shows that I have reduced my hair fall down to just what's inevitable based on like hormones. Quick disclaimer before we start. I'm not a doctor. I'm not any kind of specialist in this. I'm not even a hairstylist. I am speaking just from my own personal experience of things that have worked for me. Hair loss is really, really complicated. There's so many different factors that can go into it, like your hormones, your diet, your lifestyle. Everyone is different. So when I tell you what worked for me and why, I'm not promising that it will work the same way for you. The same thing that I always say with skincare applies to hair too, which is your mileage may vary. I am just telling you what worked for me in case you might have issues that are similar to mine and you might get some ideas for what's helpful to you. First, I'll talk about the things that I tried that didn't work just to get them out of the way. So in the beginning, I really wanted to see if I could fix this issue using just topical products because obviously topical products are kind of where my heart lies. So I tried a bunch of hair serums. The first serum that I tried was the Ordinary's Multi-Peptide Serum for hair density, which obviously contains peptides in order to encourage better hair growth. I actually used this for quite a while, back when it first came out a few years ago, and I did notice some slight improvement. It was the most noticeable for me in the like baby hair areas over here. I did feel that it seemed that there was more hair there than before, but I also always suspected that part of that might just be because the product may superficially thicken the hair shaft where it's applied, so like right at the roots, to give the appearance of greater density. And it was kind of a lot of work, which is true of all these hair serums. It's a lot of work every day to like go and massage it into your hair every single night before you go to bed, or almost every single night. So without really, really noticeable effects, it didn't seem worth that extra labor. So after a while, I stopped using that and I didn't miss it. I also tried insert name here INH's hair serum, which contains peptides. It also contains topical biotin. This one was the most pleasant for me to use. It's very, very lightweight. It felt like it really sank in all the way. It didn't leave any weird residue that I would notice in the morning. And I also used their hair like gua sha comb with it for scalp massage. With this one, I didn't really notice much effect at all. So although it was much more pleasant to use than the other hair serums I've tried, I didn't continue with that. The most effective serum that I tried for hair growth was GrandeHAIR. So this is made by the same company that makes Grande Lash and Grande Brow, which are the lash and brow growth serums that I actually use both of those, and those are very effective. So GrandeHAIR contains the same prostaglandin analog that makes the lash and brow serums work. So it did work, like where I put it, when I was consistent with it over a period of a couple of months, I could feel more hair coming out, like I could feel little prickly new growth in spots that were much thinner before. However, GrandeHAIR is really, really, really expensive. It leaves quite a lot of residue and it's extremely, extremely perfumey, like to the point where the first few nights that I used it, I started getting a headache from the fragrance. So even though that actually was pretty effective, I wouldn't keep using it because the scent is really unpleasant. It left that residue and it's just way too expensive to put on more than like just a small area of your head. And I, when it comes to serums, would really have wanted something that I could put everywhere. One thing that I did not try and never will try is minoxidil. In case you don't know, minoxidil is an anti-hair loss drug that is applied topically. I can't use this because I have two cats and minoxidil is very, very, very toxic to cats. So I would rather go full bald all over my head than do anything that's going to put my cats in danger. Here comes one now. Okay, so we got that out of the way and we can get to the fun part, which is the things that actually did work for me. Starting with basic hair care, which is just shampoo and conditioner, because of course we want our hair and our scalp to be healthy as possible, both so that your hair looks good and so that your hair grows in well. Now, this is a little bit challenging for people because there's two different things going on. One is the condition of your actual hair. The other is the condition of your scalp. Your hair is dead. There's not really that much we can do to it besides just like add some moisture, smooth the surface so that it's softer and shinier, do what we can to repair breakage. But your scalp is living skin, so it needs to be treated like skin. The healthier your scalp skin is, the better your hair grows in and the fewer issues you may have with like premature hair fall. So finding products that balance those needs, I think, is something that a lot of us struggle with. I have had the best results with the Olaplex #4 shampoo and the Olaplex #5 conditioner. So I've been using this pretty much nonstop for the last year, year and a half. The thing about the shampoo that I really appreciate, first of all, it's kind of expensive. So the fact that a little tiny bit goes a long way is great. Like I literally use less than a nickel sized and it foams up enough to get my whole head. Like I've used more before and I felt like I was going to drown in the bubbles. But the thing is, first of all, this is a low pH. It's pH 5.5. So if you follow my skincare content at all, you know that I believe that a low pH cleanser is extremely important for skin health. Your skin barrier, and this includes your scalp too, the natural pH of a healthy skin barrier is somewhere between like 4.5 and 6, I believe. When we use cleansing products that have a really high pH, like much higher than that, it weakens the barrier. So this allows irritants and contaminants to get in and it allows moisture to escape because you're basically like literally damaging the barrier that holds your moisture in and that keeps bad things out. So using a shampoo that has a low pH helps to maintain the integrity of your skin barrier, which is also important on the scalp. And with the conditioner, obviously Olaplex is known for damage repair. Their molecule like repairs the broken bonds in hair. I don't think that the conditioner itself would have enough of the active ingredient to really repair severe damage, like from a lot of bleaching or like really, really frequent heat styling, but just for everyday use and for like incidental breakage, like what we might get from brushing our hair a little too hard or whatever. I have found that this is really, really helpful for my hair, just to like keep it really smooth, keep it really strong, keep it really healthy. And the other thing that I love about this conditioner is that like unlike a lot of other conditioners that I've tried, it actually feels like it sinks in to my hair instead of just creating like this gross slimy film on the top of my hair, which is what is more common in my experience. So Olaplex number 4 shampoo, Olaplex number 5 conditioner. When I use these, I find that I get a lot less like just general breakage. So obviously I do love the Olaplex shampoo as an everyday shampoo because it is super gentle and soft on my hair and my scalp, but I also find that the scalp sometimes needs a little bit of extra clarifying because again, the scalp is living skin. If you get a buildup of dead skin cells or oils or anything else on there, it can lead to skin problems just as it can anywhere else on your face or body, like clogs, bumps, itchiness, irritation. And all these things with your scalp could also cause your hair to not grow in as well or to fall out faster. So about once a week, I do an extra scalp clarifying treatment. For years and years, I did scalp acids, which my good friend Tracy, Fanservice B, came up with this concept, which is just using an exfoliating acid as a scalp clarifying treatment. I would use the Ordinary's glycolic acid because it's pretty inexpensive, it's effective, also because the nozzle tip makes it really easy to apply to hair. However, for the last maybe half year to a year, instead of doing that, I use 107 Scalp Purifying Microbiome Shampoo instead. So this is also low pH, so it's still nice for the skin barrier. It's a little bit stronger as a shampoo than the Olaplex, so I wouldn't personally use it every day because I do find that my hair gets a little bit too squeaky and a little too dry if I do so. However, it contains vinegar and it contains some other clarifying treatments. I find that using this once a week in place of the Olaplex shampoo helps to keep my scalp really comfortable, really healthy, free of clogs, and free of buildup. Talking about basic hair care is a good way to segue into some other best practices to minimize breakage and damage of your hair so that you lose less of it. So before you wash your hair, brush it out. The more that you can detangle your hair before you go into the shower, the less you're going to end up ripping out when you're trying to wash your hair or put conditioner through it. After you wash your hair, don't ever rub it roughly with a towel to get it dry. So I only use these kind of like microfiber hair towels, especially the turban type ones that can just passively absorb water from your hair without you having to like get really rough with it with a towel. So that way I can reduce the amount of hair that just comes out because I'm treating it too rough. After you wash your hair, wet hair is weaker, it stretches and snaps more easily, so don't brush your hair when it's wet. If you need to detangle it, just use a wide tooth comb. And when you put your hair up, try not to put it up tightly and try not to use any kind of hair things that would like tug on it or put weight or irritation on your scalp. So I have to put my hair up a lot because of yoga class and things like that. So I always just use like silk or satin scrunchies. If I need to use a claw clip, then I'll just try to put it like not too tightly against my scalp because I don't want it to pull on my hair and I don't want it to rub on my scalp and irritate it and start damaging the hair follicles there. Now we can get into the really, really fun stuff and talk about hair styling. So I never actually used to style my hair very much, which might sound counterintuitive, but I always felt like, well, I don't have that much hair anyway. And then especially after it started to get thinner, I felt like it's not going to look that good even if I style it. And the damage from styling my hair is just going to make it worse. So I would always avoid it. So now that my hair is growing in a lot more densely, a lot more healthily, and I'm losing so much less, I actually feel comfortable to style it and I have a lot of fun doing stuff with it. The hairstyling tool that I use the most often is for blow drying. So I got the Shark FlexStyle, and I originally got this because I wanted to do those like Dyson Airwrap kind of Airwrap curler things, which those are fine, and I do like using those sometimes, but it turns out this thing is like the best blow dryer because it gets my hair dry so fast, like around 5 minutes to do my whole head. If I'm not doing any other style and I'm just blow drying it, I just use it like no attachments like this. If I want to style it with something else, I just want to hit the roots and I can use it with the styling concentrator thing. So because blow drying does dry out hair and the heat can damage hair, the reason that I like it to be really fast is to minimize the amount of time that my hair is exposed to that heat. So along the same lines of minimizing hair's exposure to heat, when I blow dry, I always use the Kristin S Blow Dry Mist. So this isn't really a styling product, it's more of a heat protectant. It's a little bit of a shine enhancer, and the main function is it cuts blow dry time down like crazy. Like I would say that this cuts my blow dry time down by about half when I use it. So with this and the Shark FlexStyle as a blow dryer, I can get my whole head dry in like 3 minutes. And the blow dry mist is also super helpful when I want to get a straight blowout. So what I'll do is use the blow dry mist, and then I use the Shark FlexStyle with the styling concentrator just to hit my roots and give them a little bit of lift. But I'll finish. I don't like the Shark FlexStyle's round brush because I feel that it tugs and pulls and catches on my hair too much. I use the insert name here, insert blowout here, blowout brush. So between this, the blow dry mist, and the Shark FlexStyle, I can get a really nice, sleek, like straight blowout in just a few minutes. And again, it minimizes my hair's exposure to heat and therefore damage. The thing that I really like about this, as opposed to the Shark FlexStyle's round brush, is these bristles are pretty widely placed. I don't feel that this pulls my hair. I don't feel that it rips it out, even if I use it on like really big pieces of hair at a time, which I normally do because I don't really have the patience to do tiny little pieces of hair. If I want curls like what I have now, I don't do this too often because it is the most damaging thing that I personally do to my hair. But if I do want like the real curls, I use a flat iron. So I have the Kristin S titanium mini travel flat iron, which they sent me. And I like this. It's really smooth. The titanium plates slide over hair pretty easily so that it doesn't pull and it doesn't get stuck and start burning hair. When I do those, I use the Kristin S workable hairspray to hold the curls a little bit better than they would hold on their own. That is really rare, but the fact that I can do it now and enjoy it, and I like the way that my hair looks with it, is a huge, huge deal to me. So obviously all that heat styling that I just talked about does damage hair. There's kind of no real way around it. It's going to make hair more rough, more brittle, more easily broken off. So when I do a lot of that heat styling, I want to like repair the damage as much as possible. And so Epres bond repair treatment has been the game changer for me. So this was developed by the founder Eric Presley, who actually was one of the original chemists who was responsible for the development of Olaplex. It's a similar concept in that the active molecule penetrates into hair and kind of builds new protein bonds to replace the ones that were broken by whatever like bleach or heat damage or anything else that you do. It just comes in these little vials of concentrate. You mix it with water in the spray bottle, spray it onto dry hair, let it sit for like minimum 10 minutes, more like 20. Sometimes I do it overnight if I feel like my hair needs a lot of help. And then shampoo and rinse it out and use conditioner as normal. And like, oh my God, no matter how rough and damaged and weak my hair feels, if I've been going really hard at it, just using this gets it so silky, it gets it so strong. I've put videos up on my Instagram of it. They're on the Praise Instagram page too. Like this stuff works. And it has done so much to keep me from losing, like breaking off hair from the fact that I actually really like playing with it now. So I love this. I use it at least once a week. If I've been styling my hair with heat a lot, I'll use it twice a week just to make sure. Okay, so at this point, you might be like, Jude, Fitty, you've talked about like how to keep the hair that's on your head healthy, but what about how to grow back hair that's been lost? So before I get into nutrition, I feel like I need to reiterate that I'm not a doctor. I'm not a specialist of any kind. I found what works best for me and just kind of through like the process of deduction figured out what it was. It may be something different for you, but I do think that this is not an uncommon problem based on what I've heard from other people who started taking what I'm taking, so I will share about it. My problem, as it turns out, was biotin deficiency. You've probably seen the word biotin before. It shows up in pretty much any kind of supplement that has to do with hair, skin, or nails. It's vitamin B7. Now, the research into whether this really does help with hair, skin, and nails is a little bit thin on the ground and it's a little bit inconsistent. However, biotin deficiency has been linked with thinning hair, which is why you will find it in a lot of those vitamins. And for me, the reason that I know that that is what the problem was is because when I started to take a supplement that had biotin in it, that's when I started to notice that my hair fall reduced, like pretty drastically. I originally started out by taking Beauty Pie's Collagen Super Powder. So this, among the other ingredients, has 333% daily value of biotin in it. And I took this for a few months straight. I ended up stopping because I'm not super into, like, I didn't enjoy having to mix it into a drink every day. I would much rather take something more convenient. But it was when I started taking this that I started to notice and I started to see in my hair fall notes that I was losing less hair pretty noticeably after the first couple of months. The hair mouse was getting smaller, or there would be more days where I didn't have a hair mouse at all. Again, I probably would have kept taking this if it was not in powder form. I'm just like honestly too lazy to be mixing this into some kind of a drink every day because I don't really do the smoothie thing myself anymore. If you do generally make yourself smoothies like that pretty often, this might be a good choice for you. So the supplement that I ended up landing on that I've been taking pretty much ever since it came out very, very consistently and religiously has been the Goli Women's Multi Gummies, which have more biotin than the Beauty Pie powder. It's 750% DV as opposed to 333%. So it's more. It's still not a ton in comparison to dedicated hair, skin, and nails gummies and vitamins, as we'll talk about in a little bit. But I just want to say, like, originally, when I started to realize that taking a vitamin was helping my hair to grow in better and to not fall out as fast, I thought it might also be a folate deficiency that I was having a problem with. So at some point, I did stop taking anything with biotin and I started taking a multivitamin that had a pretty similar nutritional composition, just without the biotin, but with plenty of folate. It didn't work. The hair fall started coming back. The hair mice started getting bigger. So I was like, oh, fuck this. And that's when I went to the Goli Women's Multis. I started taking those. I haven't looked back since. And it's been really crazy. So I noticed something a couple of weeks ago, and this is sort of what prompted me to make this video. Like, see the like baby hairs here. So a lot of us have these regions by our temples that are like almost a receding hairline, but it's just fuzzy baby hair that doesn't really grow. I was fucking with my hair and I realized that like those little baby hairs are now like wispy and long. Like I'm trying to pull out just the baby hairs. You can see they're like long, wispy bang length. That's never happened before. Like even when I was a teenager, even when everything else should have been perfect, like that was just wispy fuzz. It never grew long. So this is unprecedented. When I go to style my hair, when I'm looking at my hair in a hand mirror, like looking at the back of my head or the top of my head, those thin spots and that like excessive scalp showing that I used to worry so much about are just not there anymore. Like over the past year or so, and especially over the almost a year that I've been taking these, those problems went away. Like it actually grew in. Like I have spots of like hair, like I can see the new growth and where it's kind of awkward because it's shorter than the rest of my hair, but like it's growing in. This is insane. And that's why I keep like, I am religious about taking these every day. I always take them every day. I have a little thing in my planner that every day I check it off that I took it so that I won't forget. So it is, I do believe the biotin in these that did the trick. For some people, that may be the issue. However, we want to talk about the fact that this is something that we're taking inside of our bodies. Again, I'm not a doctor. I can't diagnose anything. I can't know that that's the issue that you're having. I will say that biotin has some side effects reported associated with it. Some people report that they have developed acne while taking biotin supplements, and that's undeniable that it happens to some people. My totally unscientific theory about this, and I didn't have any of those problems. I haven't had any skin problems since taking it. My unscientific, just a guess, theory about this is that it could have something to do with the insanely huge mega doses of biotin that you find in a lot of the dedicated hair, skin, and nails multivitamins and supplements. So I was curious. I looked up some of the more heavily promoted hair supplements that I often see being pushed on Instagram, either with sponsored ads or other influencers are promoting them. So one of them is Wellbel. And if you have like searched for hair loss treatments or anything or like hair vitamins, I'm sure that you've seen plenty of these ads pop up. Wellbel has 1,667% daily value of biotin in a dose. So that is more than twice as much as the Goli women's multi. So that's something. Nutrafol, which is the other one that I see advertised and marketed and promoted a lot, has 10,000% of the daily recommended value of biotin in a single dose. And a lot of the other hair, skin, and nails vitamins that I've seen either online or in the store, they lean more towards that end. Like usually the range that I've seen is between 7,000% of the daily recommended value or 15,000% of the daily recommended value. Like I know that 750% is already obviously higher than the daily recommended value, but it's not 10,000 or 15,000% more than what they say that you're supposed to get. So again, my suspicion is that a lot of the issues associated with biotin come from the fact that those dedicated beauty vitamins have so freaking much of it. So I wanted to cover that. And I also want to point out that on another note, biotin can interfere with some lab tests. So if you have any like health problems, any conditions that you would need to get tests for, you should ask your doctor first. If you have access to good medical care, if you kind of have like a situation where you can just ask your doctor about stuff like this. Anyway, it's a good idea to ask your doctor first before taking supplements, but I will just leave you with the fact that taking biotin has helped me immeasurably with my hair. I haven't had any side effects or any problems besides remembering to take it every day. So for me, I am going to keep taking it. I cannot recommend anyone else to take it. I can say that I have gotten messages from some of my Instagram followers who started taking the same ones that I take and are starting to see improvements either in their hair or also in their nail growth, which is the other thing that this stuff helps me so much with. So just to keep in mind, this is absolutely in my mind, like no question, the reason that I've stopped, like almost totally stopped my hair fall. The reason that I've stopped the hair loss that I was starting to experience in my early 40s, the reason that my hair is growing in with so much more density, so much more strength, and so much more volume than it used to is, I would say, almost entirely because of the biotin. As a final note, the rest of my diet, I think, was already pretty good for supporting hair growth. So, like, I eat a lot of protein. I'm not vegan, I'm not vegetarian, and because I work out, I pay attention to my macros. I did always get plenty of protein. So, that may be something else that you want to keep in mind if you're having issues. But ultimately, the reason that I saved the vitamins for last and the reason that I wanted to talk about the vitamins so much is because your hair grows out of your body. So the process by which your body grows hair is affected by your diet. So if you are not getting some key vitamins for your hair, that may be a reason why. And there's one more supplement that I'll talk about real quick. And the last thing before my hairspray and my curls just totally give up on life, I also take MSM. This is sulfur. So my boyfriend got me interested in this because he's more interested in like nutrition and different things that people try. He had said that there was some evidence that this is beneficial for hair and skin and nails because like your hair and nails especially are partly made out of sulfur. So theoretically, people think that taking this just donates more of the sulfur to your body to produce hair and nails with. I do find I've been taking this for about 5-6 months. I think I started taking it early this year, that my nails do keep getting stronger. My hair does start getting stronger and thicker. It may be a cumulative effect as I have continued to take the biotin, or it may be due to this. This is a very safe thing to take as far as my understanding. I get it in loose crystals because I'm an idiot and I just said, tell me what you buy and I'll just get the same thing to my boyfriend. I keep it in a jar. I take a teaspoon every day with some beverage. You can find it in capsules if you want. So that is just the last thing that I wanted to mention. So this is an ongoing process because your hair, my hair, it takes time to see changes especially substantial changes in the way that it grows, how much of it grows, the length and things like that, because obviously growing hair is a very slow process. So nothing that I have said in here is meant to be a quick fix for something that is as complicated and all-encompassing as hair loss or hair fall, hair thinning, things like that. Whatever you try is going to take time to see results. And so, like I said, it's been over a year since I've been actively trying to slow down the hair fall and the hair loss. And it has taken me almost that amount of time to noticeably, very confidently say that I have stopped the hair thinning and I have started growing more hair. So don't get impatient and don't get too disappointed with yourself if anything that you try isn't giving you like a miracle in a week or a month, because like I've said this time and time again in my skincare content too, nothing that's worth it is an overnight thing. There's so many scams going around that are like for overnight results, instant results, or whatever. But something that grows from your living tissue and your living body is going to take a lot of time to change. So whatever you try, whether it's something that I'm doing or something that you found elsewhere, just be patient with yourself and with whatever product or protocol you're doing. Hopefully it will be worth it, and just observe. Keep track, like I kept track of my hair mouse size. That's how I knew that things were starting to work, even when I couldn't necessarily visually see it. Keep track. You might want to take progress pictures if you're comfortable with doing that, just to see how it's changing you over time, because incremental changes that are happening every day are not something that we can really pick up on with our eyes, because we're used to just seeing ourselves the way that we are. Sometimes it takes that like progress pictures or other externalized methods of measuring how things are changing to see if something's working or not. And so that's it. I think this is the longest that I've ever talked to you guys. It's definitely the longest video that I've ever made. I put the full product list and links and any codes that I have like that in the description box. I really appreciate you guys for sticking with me and listening to this whole thing. If you want more, I am going to make more YouTube videos, so obviously subscribe here. If you want more right now, go look at my Instagram at Fitty Snails, because I have years and years and years and years of content in all different formats there. And thanks for watching.